small and medium scale companies for the organization. And they got a territory, we got a territory, and we were told all the companies that are in this territory is what you have to handle, which means you have to go building by building in these in this area, scan the building from top to bottom, identify if they have any business for Taj hotels within Bombay, outside of Bombay, or anywhere else where the Taj had was present, and sign up corporate contracts with them and get whatever business that you could get from them. So there started my sales journey. I would say I would break up my sales journey into two parts. The first early part of my journey, I actually did a lot of different things. I first started with commercial sales, then I moved to handling large accounts, the key accounts for Taj Hotels, moved to something called the National Accounts team. And thereafter, I took a short break to have my first baby. So in my first 2 years of my career, I had my baby after 2 years of working. And then I came back and did something called managing consortia relationships. So I was somebody who was always very restless. I wanted to do different things because I felt each time I did a different thing, there was a new learning in it. And I really wanted to only understand and learn the industry, the business that I was getting into in the first few years of my career, because I think I didn't know that that is going to shape my career, but I just felt that was the right thing to do, because I wanted to just, firstly, anything that was, I couldn't do anything mundane for too long. So every 15 months to 18 months, I would go to my boss and say, can I do something different? And luckily for me, I had great mentors and I had great bosses who would always find me an opportunity and come back and tell me, okay, you wanted to do something different, here's what we have, would you like to take it? And I never said no to an opportunity that came my way. So the first few years of my career was all on the field. I understood how corporates function, how our consumers behave, what they expect of us when they come to our hotels, what kind of businesses can we get from corporate accounts into our hotels, and what the consumer psyche is all about. After the first few years, I decided to go into the unit, because I said, without working with a hotel, how can I call myself a hotelier? So I went up to my boss and I said, I want to join the hotels. So then I got posted in one of our hotels in Bombay. And there I learned real hoteliering, what hotel sales were, what were the different segments that hotels welcome based on the need of the customer, what were the different distribution channels through which we get business, how does banqueting business work, how does room sales work, how does front office work, everything. I got a sneak peek into everything. And I soon realized that's where my interest lies. And then most of my career after that has been with managing hotel sales business. My last few, I left the Taj in 2019. And before I left, I was the Director of Sales and Marketing for the Taj Lands End. And I was promoted to being the head of sales for the market, where I had a set of team members that reported into me that managed the Bombay market, as well as I also looked after the hotel sales performance. And then Hyatt came knocking onto my doors with this great opportunity, which I felt I must take on for my own learning experience. Again, everything that I've done in life has been to learn something new. I never went out knocking onto any doors to get a job, because I was really happy with the Taj and it's a great organization to work with. But when Hyatt came and offered me a very different role, and they said, and it was also a career progression for me, right? So I said, I must take it on. So they said, you will be handling a region and you will have a set of 14, 15 hotels, and you have to set direction for those hotels and work with them to ensure that they succeed. Right. Again, I went into a role that I had absolutely no idea of, but I still took it on, just had belief in myself that I should be able to learn and catch up with it. So that's my, a 21-year-old long career. I cannot, sum it up in 2 minutes, but that's how I started my career, and that's where I am today.
Very interesting. But with 21 years of experience, Bandita, and I really can understand when you say why did you choose post your MBA the Taj hotels because they were giving you accommodation in Mumbai, because I
And
can
it was
certainly
a Tata company. I have to say, another reason was it was a Tata company. So
Tata company, no doubt.
stability, and you feel, that the organization stable, great values. I mean, you've heard about Tata, so
Right, very
so
true,
you
very
feel
true,
you feel comfortable joining them as a young 21-year-old, 22-year-old. Yeah,
very true.
yeah.
True. And I think one of the reasons when I was also working remained that, oh, Mumbai and we are getting accommodation, let's go.
Yeah, yeah. That's a big thing in Bombay, right?
Very
Everybody.
true.
Yeah.
No doubt. Also, this is also very inquisitive thing which comes from me, that a lot of people over here must be thinking that, oh, it's a sales director, which absolutely a lot of people would dream to become one day as a sales professional. And also a lot of young professionals from food and beverage, or let's call all the core hospitality segments, they would certainly dream one day, yaar kabhi main us segment mein pahunchunga kya. So how does, if being very inquisitive, if somebody wants to know how does day for a area sales director, especially Bandita, looks like, या कैसे वो evolve होता है, how does it start? So do you mind sharing something like that?
Sure. Actually, right now the role that I do is very strategic in nature. Unfortunately, I don't have a direct client facing role, but I have team members who handle clients, right? So
Very true.
when I say I take care of 14 sales, I am responsible for the sales function of 14 to 15 of our hotels. I'm working with the director of sales and marketing. I work closely with them in giving them strategic direction, in identifying opportunities for them, and ensuring that they get the right environment to perform their daily activities. And therefore, my job is to focus on people, processes, and performance. When I say people, I have to ensure that I have the right talent pool in my hotels. If I don't have the right talent, I'll be struggling to get my hotels perform, right? So the most important thing is our assets, and our assets are our employees. And therefore, getting the right talent is the most important thing. Training my talent, training our colleagues, ensuring that they're equipped with the right understanding to do their jobs, retain our top talent, ensure that there's pay parity. All this is part of the people responsibility that I have. Then again, I have to also ensure that processes are maintained. So I identify my job is to be like I would say a watchdog for the organization. There are strategic initiatives that the organization wants us to drive, and I have to ensure that my hotel teams are driving those initiatives.
True.
So I have to ensure that they're following up processes, help them plug the gaps, identify the gaps that there may be, identify sales processes that need to be corrected, audit those sales processes. If certain segment is an important segment, I have to work with my hotel colleagues, map the entire customer journey and see how we can better ourselves in that entire process. So for example, if weddings is an important segment for us, so we mapped out the customer journey from the time we get the query till the wedding happens and then the family goes out of our hotel. What are the different touch points of sales? What are the different touch points of our operations colleagues? And what are the different touch points of an after sales or after event, once the event gets over?
Very
So
true.
we mapped an entire thing and we built a process. We had, we identified what are the key things that our salespeople need to do, what are the key things that operations needs to do, how do we make it, how do we make ourselves the choice, the hotel of choice for our customers who want to have weddings in our hotels. And weddings is a very personal business, right? So the kind of people who will handle that as well. So things like that. So I take on different so basically my role helps us stitch the strategic goals of the organization and align my colleagues to the goals that are set for us. Okay.
Right.
The last but the most important thing is performance. Okay. So we communicate, we work on their KPIs. We have dashboards. I work on dashboards to monitor their KPIs. I have regular calls with them to understand if they need any support to meet those KPIs, if they're lagging anywhere, what they need to do. Work with them on their business plans, focus on areas that may help them improve their market share. Because at the end of the day, whatever we as salespeople do should help that hotel meet their market share. Market share is basically how we compete with our with our competition hotels. Are we doing better than our competition hotels or not? So whatever efforts we make has to translate into growth in market share. So in a nutshell, I do nothing. My teams do everything. I just give them direction. I identify opportunities for them. I equip them with everything that's needed to perform their jobs properly.
Very true. And I think where you said that with such a explanation, detailed explanation, and then you say, I do nothing. That was the most
No.
OG thing I've ever heard, because I also believe that the penetration which goes from the top to bottom approach at times is so important, that brainstorming and that ideology, that cultural development, as you said, that retaining talent remains one of your most important things, which
See,
I'm
like I
sure
said, people we are in a people industry. We can't be anything without our people. So that's
very
why I always say I do nothing, because honestly, I'm nothing without my team. So
very
I'm
true.
blessed to have a great team, and I just have to ensure that they perform.
Over here, Bandita, I have a very interesting question, because we were talking about this just now, and this thought immediately strikes me because I have been in hospitality. I've seen other industries as well, logistics being one of them, consulting being another one of them. And I see that everywhere, wherever I have been, I have seen a problem, and especially in hospitality, that we have young people, especially in recent years, I have observed a lot of hospitality young professionals do not wish to come and join the hospitality segment for some good reason. But also, I believe it's such a passionate industry, and it gives you so many skills to wear every time you move into this, and so many hats to experience, that you learn a lot. And this is me admitting over the recording session that I totally feel that a lady or a gentleman or whosoever that person is gets amazing skill sets to imbibe, that person can utilize into any field, whether it's marketing, sales, or you may say logistics, HR, and you name it. And I think hospitality professionals have got it. By what is that reason? I still fail to understand that how do these people not love and enjoy this kind of an industry, and why is it that young professionals are not really enthusiastic to come?
Well, Vikrant, I hear what you're saying, and yes, it is a problem. But can I be very honest with you? This is
Please.
probably the only industry that gives you the kind of perks that you could never imagine, even if you were working in the most in the in the biggest Fortune 500 companies. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
As a young professional, I'm telling you my experience. I've met with CXOs of various companies, CEOs, celebrities, personalities, sports people. I've got a sneak peek into different kinds of industries. I've wined and dined at the best restaurants. I have had the privilege of meeting some really, really profound personalities. And this couldn't have happened in any other industry, because they meet you because they see value in meeting you. You're looking after their personal needs and requirements.
I
And
would
therefore, a personal connect. There is, I cannot see any other industry where relationship management is such an important aspect. I mean, I'm telling you, in the banking and finance industry, I'm sure you all have relationship managers from the banking and finance industry. They call you once in 6 months, and after that, you don't hear from them. And then
Right.
again, another person calls you once in 6 months. And honestly, do you ever use them? You never. But a hotel relationship manager will be called by the secretary of the company as well as the CEO of the company, because he knows that that person will make things happen for him.
Very
So,
true.
this industry is all about passion, like you just mentioned. Either you love it, or then within a year's time you will know it's not your cup of tea. And yes, it requires, I think we've also ourselves made the industry a little, I would say, a little unglamorous, because the work hours etc were long. But I'm telling you now, organizations are looking at these things very differently. I work for Hyatt, where well-being is a very important aspect of our life, and we don't insist anybody works beyond the work hours. In fact, we encourage people to come on time and leave on time. We don't. We have 5 day work week.
Very true.
We ensure people get their private time, and we don't disturb them during their private vacations, etc. We have certain policies that really protect the interest and privacy of our colleagues, and that's very important for everybody's well-being today. Gone are those days when we expect that salespeople should work 50, anybody should work 15, 16, 17 hours and non-stop and give their 100%. It's not possible. You
Right.
have a life beyond work as well. So I think the hospitality industry, the new generation of people, managers who are coming in, they understand this. The old hoteliers had a very different bent of mind. They themselves worked 18, 20 hours a day, so they expected everyone. But I think the new generation of people, they see it very differently, and they understand that people have a life beyond work, and everybody must pursue their own personal
Stuff.
hobbies as well. Why should you can't just you need to have a personality beyond just being at work.
Very true. Very
So
true.
so important.
Very true.
so
Would not.
so I would say it's just a phase. We will have people come back to the industry. This industry is not going anywhere.
No.
It's only going to become more and more relevant. We are seeing. Look at what post-COVID era has shown us. I mean, business has bounced back, and how we never expected it to bounce back at the levels that it has. And we
T20 has changed it.
and therefore we need good professionals in our industry, and then if we don't make it attractive enough, people will not come. So
Very true.
salaries today are matchable. I mean, you can match them to other industries. Your perks definitely are much better than other industries. Which other company will sponsor your stay when you travel abroad? Which other company will give you a 50% discount when you want to eat and dine and wine and dine in any five-star restaurant? I mean, these are we always neglect these small little perks that our organization gives us, but when you add it up, they're really big.
I think we should bring it to our CTC.
Well, I wouldn't do that, because you'll get taxed on it. So it's good the way it is, and let's just enjoy it.
That's better. But I think then
But-
we have not been probably putting too much of
Yeah,
these
but you
things
should.
into limelight.
But when you look at your salary and you compare it to another industry salary, do keep in mind all these things.
Very true. Very true.
These are all little things that we don't notice. I mean, we don't want to take this into account, but it does make a difference to your pocket.
Right. I would not disagree on that. And I think also one of the factors is that it is so much of fun at the industry working, and
Yeah.
people support you so much. And as you said, the culture at Hyatt, because I remember why I was at Taj. I remember Mr. Sarna coming from Hyatt and moving to Taj. And I certainly remember the entire culture process, the
Yeah.
Tajness and all that stuff when came in. I totally remember that evolved in just like overnight. And we had this change, that change happening around. And then that was the time I realized that international brands do have that cultural perspective in mind, which they want to imbibe more deep rootedly. And I think um, I I had been in HR, working around HR from last 5 years now, and I think the statement which says that culture eats strategy for lunch is so true, that you do not have the right culture to let people grow with you. It's really going to be the worst nightmare you
Yeah.
can have.
No, no, absolutely. I mean, if hotels do not adapt themselves to the new gen, why should the new gen adapt itself to the hotel, right? So we have to, if we want to attract good talent, then we got to also change our ways. I mean, so we're all learning, and we're going to get only better from here. So don't get worried. Join the industry. It's full of fun. You make lifelong friends because you spend 12, 13 hours with your colleagues, which is and it's a lot of, and I haven't seen once a hotelier, always a hotelier, and the kind of bonds that we build, not just with our own colleagues, but even
But
with our
yes,
clients and customers, clients,
very true.
guests and clients. And it's amazing, they become lifelong friends. They call you for any help they need, even if it's personal. They want to take your advice sometimes. So it's a new high that you get.
And I think the first guy whom we had at our company investing was actually is one of my ex clients from the hotels.
So you
And I
see,
was like, oh my God, that is,
yeah.
and people still text me over my WhatsApp at times and say, oh, yeah, I saw your picture over LinkedIn and you have gained some weight. I was like, okay.
Yeah. So we make lifelong friends, and thanks to this industry, I've made friends from so many different walks of life.
I'm sure. I'm sure. But when you say that culture, certainly we all understand is amazing and needs to be pursued so much. And when you totally brought that point that for Gen Z or for upcoming future people, we need to maintain how
अब तो
what
Gen Z भी बुड्ढे हो गए. अभी next generation has already come. So
I can imagine that. And I get scared every time I see that because sometimes I work with students and I think that I really cannot keep up the pace they are at. And I'm
absolutely
like, मैंने कुछ सीखा ही नहीं जिंदगी में.
correct. You got to reinvent yourself to work with
Very
them.
true. So, what do you think, Bandita, you personally do as an individual to keep that culture check in mind always, for especially for the young budding professionals? Or what tips you would have for anyone who's a seasoned professional also? Maybe keeping three things in mind to keep the culture in check, maybe, or to develop that culture.
So obviously you have to be a mindful leader to do that, because it doesn't always come naturally, because all of us are working under pressure, and our industry does come with its own share of pressure. We're always firefighting. If some of you are working, you would know. It's a lot of crisis management. So always you have the ability to hold yourself back when you want to burst out, and say something to somebody because that person's made a mistake or whatever, or is not performing to his hilt. But I think as managers, it is our responsibilities to first clearly communicate our expectations with the colleagues we are working with. Once we have clearly communicated, we need to equip them with all the knowledge and any tools that they need to perform properly. And then we also have to walk the talk with them. We have to be able to do a couple of calls. So for me, what has worked is to stay close to my team. I've always walked, I've tried as much as possible. I've tried to be close to my team. I go out. When I was handling a sales team, now of course I handle hotel salespeople, so I don't really have to go out with them. But it's more about strategy, etc. But when I used to handle a sales team, I used to go out calling with them, because each time somebody goes out, when I was growing up, my bosses came on calls with me. I learned from them. So it helped me become a better professional, helped me understand how to probe a customer, how to understand my clients better, how to get more out of them in terms of business. It helped me understand my organization also, because they come with a plethora of experience. So when they talk about the brand versus me as a youngster talking about the brand, they obviously come, they come with a lot more knowledge, and they come with a lot more knowledge that actually from where you learn. So I would say that we need to define the KPIs. We need to be able to equip them with the tools to achieve the KPIs, and we need to very pragmatically review those KPIs. And we have to be data driven as leaders. We cannot be driven by our feelings, because I may feel Vikrant is doing a great job, and when I look at data, Vikrant is not got any business. So what is happening, Vikrant? Are you facing an issue? That's my job. I am supposed to mentor you. I can't blame anyone else as a leader if my team is not performing.
Very right. So take that onus as well as a
Yeah,
leader.
take the onus of your team and mentor them. And if they still don't perform, then try and understand. I would say, in today's fast-paced life, we can't give too many opportunities to people also. But we can give them one, two, three opportunities. And after that, if you don't see somebody performing, there are times when you have to take the tough call.
Very true. Very true. I think that is the time we all really need to learn as a soft skill also, saying big no upfront and
Absolutely.
things that way.
That's a big part of leadership where you have to take some tough calls. It's a very tough thing to do. We all did it during COVID, and during COVID, it was of no fault of theirs. It wasn't like they weren't performing and that's why they lost their jobs. They just lost their jobs because
Right.
organizations couldn't manage the payroll costs. So
Right.
they had to cut payroll costs. But I'm talking where in a case of a performance, uh, you have to take some tough calls at times if you see that the person doesn't reciprocate and is not improving.
Right.
Maybe it's not meant for industry. When I say, when I take certain tough calls, I always tell team members that, maybe you're meant for something else. Maybe you're stuck in the wrong place. You're not enjoying what you're doing and that's why you're not performing.
Right.
So no point
And
dragging your feet on it then.
if you had to, because really you come from a sales background, and a lot of us fail to understand what sales is at times, and especially if you're a young budding professional, I think it's really tough for you to understand what sales even means. We all think selling could be just sales. So as with your so much years of experience, how would you define sales as, and what would it mean to you if you talk about it?
Well, can I be very honest? I mean, over the last 21 years, the basics of sales hasn't changed. Uh, and we whatever said and done, what was crucial back in 21 years ago is even crucial today, except that probably now our organizations now the internet world has changed a lot of things, so you have a lot more information to gather on your consumers or on your customers, on your guests. Back then we had to do a lot of direct calling to understand our customers.
Maybe field work, you might call it as.
A lot more field work. Today, you can sit on LinkedIn and you can look up who are the important people that I need to meet in this organization. If I want to know who the CMO is, okay, and then I send an email message to the CMO, or find out who the EA is and go and take an appointment. I mean, so it's a lot more easier, but
Right.
basics remain the same. You still have to be connected with your customers. You still have to take keen interest in your clients' business. You have to have the right listening skills. Very important. Only if you listen, you'll understand their needs. And once you understand their needs, you provide them the solution that you should provide. And I think the biggest mistake that we make as salespeople sometimes is we become order takers. Never ever put yourself in that situation. Be a solution provider and be there. I would say, be the messiah in your company. So what I meant to say.
So give them the right direction.
Honestly, not direction. I mean, I'm not anyone to give them direction, but at least give them a
maybe show them
solution.
the right.
Yeah, and be transparent with your customers and fight for them where you think is right. You could have those one odd people in the organization who say, no, I can't do this, I can't do that. But if you think it's important for your business and for the long term, impact for the long and will have a long-term impact in your business in the future, fight for the right things. And don't just say, okay, if somebody said no to me, I'll go and say no to the customer. And then when the customer asks me another question, I'll go to someone else and ask. No, you be his, I would say, his solution provider. And tell him, sir, I cannot do this. but can I do this for you? They really appreciate. Clients always appreciate if you can give them an alternate rather than just say a plain no to them. So I think it's very basic, Vikrant. We're not doing rocket science here. As long as we have the right attitude, we stay connected with our clients. We are there for them when they need us. We're listening to them, and we're providing them solutions. They will become your advocates in some time. In fact, they will say, okay, Vikrant works in this hotel, go there, he'll take care of you. They will tell their friends. So you
Very,
have to reach
very,
that stage.
very true. And if I would have to sum your entire statement, would you say, or would you second this as well, that sales is actually championing your relationships around the people you work with or the customers you work with?
Absolutely, both internal as well as external. You have to manage relationships with your internal stakeholders so that you can get work done for your customers. And at the same time, you have to manage relationships with your customers so that you can get more business out of them. So relationship still remains the core of any sales activity.
And how would the two or three most important tips from your end would go for anyone in any sector? And I believe sales is such a skill that you have it in all the sectors around, whether you go to HR, marketing, whether you go to F&B, whether you go to any sector. And what would those three or two, four tips be so that that person can actually champion relationships around?
It's very difficult to sum it up in three
I
because
know. I know.
there are a lot of things that come to my mind. But I think the most important thing is to have the right attitude,
Okay.
agility, and responsiveness. Very, very important. You're in a very competitive world. Staying committed to your promise. Very important. If you've told a customer, I'll get back to you at 10 o'clock in the morning. If you haven't been able to complete what he's given you by 10, give him a call. He'll appreciate it. But don't just
God.
keep the timeline, and because then they stop trusting you, because trust is the basic factor behind any relationship, right?
Very true.
Be a good listener, very important, and clarity of communication. What you can do and what you cannot do. There has to be a clarity of communication, and be transparent with your customers. I mean, there are times as a young executive, and even when I was handling teams, etc., or when I was at USM of Taj Lands End or any other hotel, um, we've made huge blunders. We've double booked a wedding and a corporate conference. Now, what do? You don't want to go, and you can't go and make up a story to somebody who has a wedding in 10 days, right? So you have to go and tell them that, sir, we've made a mistake. We need to work around the solution. And here is what I have thought for you. Would it work for you? And we've done that. I have always gotten out of the worst situations by just going and owning up to the mistakes that we've made. By saying, really sorry, sir, we made a mistake, but we want to find a solution around it. And customers will love you for that. They will come back to you again and again because they will start trusting you that this person has the right intention in mind. And it is safe to do business with them. Yes, they may have goofed up once, but all in all, they've done many things with you, right? So this one time they will excuse you because you were truthful and you were honest enough to tell them that you made a mistake.
Do you really remember one of the incidents where you really made that mistake and you think you overcame, like, oh, this was amazing?
Yeah. There are many such instances, and like I said, we once double booked a wedding. There was a wedding, and one of my team members had sold the space for a corporate event in the evening, and the wedding was in the morning. It was a South Indian wedding, early morning wedding, which was supposed to end with lunch, and there was a corporate conference that was to start in the evening. Now, there was a communication gap between my sales colleague and the corporate event, where the corporate event thought they have the morning slot available for them to do the setup. That we only realized that we had double booked the night prior when the corporate guy called up my sales colleague and said, we're coming with our items, we're sending our event company to dump the items in the lawn so that they can start the setup early in the morning. So we said, which setup? So they said, for the event in the evening. So he said, but we have a wedding there. And then that's when the whole confusion started. So guess what we had to do? And then, hell broke loose. It was 10:30, 11 in the night. I was called back to the hotel. Obvious reasons. I also decided I must be there to solve the issue. And then we obviously you can't tell the wedding guest anything. That's a lifetime event that they're doing. You can't screw it up. So what did we do? I called up every hotel that was there in the city, asked them if they had a ballroom. Luckily, one hotel had a ballroom available for the next day. Haath jod ke maafi mangi from this guest to say that, we made a huge mistake. I'm really sorry on behalf of my guest. And we couldn't even ship them to the lawns because it was monsoons. So, and they can't create a hangar overnight. So had to find them a closed in this thing. Then we said we will keep cars aside for anybody who comes to our hotel by mistake because you've given invitations. So first they agreed. They said, okay, fine, at least you're giving us a solution. We said we will shift you to that hotel. And we had to pay a huge price because obviously that hotel charged a lot more money. They understood that we were desperate. So we paid for that event. We said, since it's our mistake, we will pay for it. It was a lesson that we learned because it hit my P&L, my sales and marketing P&L, because my GM ensured that I feel the responsibility. So when it hits your P&L is when you really feel the pinch. And yes, and we moved the event overnight to another hotel. We had salespeople lined up in the lobby to ensure that if anyone came to our hotel by mistake, we redirected them to the other hotel. And we had cars kept on standby, and we managed the situation. So, I mean, things happen, shit happens. Like I said, sorry for my language, but you have to find a solution. I mean, we could have done two things by telling the client, sorry, do you see in your contract there is no morning slot given, so go do whatever you feel like, we had told you that it is from 7 o'clock onwards, so we couldn't care less about your event. Or the other thing is find a solution for them.
Very true.
So yes, and there are multiple such things that have happened in life. So you learn, you become more mature, become more vigilant as you grow.
Okay. So this entire thing actually boils me down because you said initially that you did MBA when you entered sales, and do you really think this is just out of you can skip this if you want, but I really wish to know.
No, ask me, no problem. Okay. Whatever you feel like asking, please.
This is really important because I think there is an entire thought process which runs around most of the industries, not only hospitality, that यार अगर आपको marketing सीखनी है या sales सीखनी है, you need to be an MBA. Is that true? And if yes, then why? And if no, then why?
Well, I'm a bit biased about this, honestly. If I was to just give a cliche answer, I would say no. Sales is a regular job, and it just needs the right attitude, etc. I think an MBA gives you the mindset. The right mindset to run a business. And I'm not saying that hotel sales colleagues cannot, but I'm saying even after hotel management, if you do join sales and marketing, in the course of your career, try and do a professional course in business management. It helps. It helps you grow in the long run because see, at the end of the day, your qualifications do matter. Why do we educate ourselves? वैसे तो हम hotelier class 8 के बाद भी बन सकते हैं. Correct? You just need common sense. You need the right attitude. You have to have the basic human skills.
100%.
But why do we say you need to do hotel management? Because you got to hone your skills. Now, unfortunately, in hotel management schools, I'm not sure if today they have a course on revenue management. Do they have a course on sales and marketing? Do they have a course on... So once they have that and they equip you with the right information, then it's okay. But now without that, and you only have operational experience, अब आपको sales and marketing करनी है, आपको bent of mind, and now sales is transformed. Sales is only a byproduct of what marketing does. Digital marketing is taking over everything. Not that sales is dying. We still have 50% of our business coming to sales colleagues, but the other 50% is coming to the internet world. So So you got to understand what are the channels you're getting business from, what are the different market segments, how do you target those market segments, and all that comes with experience. Not that because I did MBA I understood that. I would not. I would please clarify that. I also learned that during the course of my work and job. But I think an MBA just gives you that polish, that understanding of your business and business acumen. It helps you build the right business
acumen.
Yeah, it makes you, it helps you understand that uh, just being legendary in service does not mean everything. You got to have a profitable business
Very true.
at the end of the day. So you just, so I think it does help. Although the new age salespeople, we have a lot of colleagues who are hiring directly from hotel management schools, and they're very good. I must say that I think hotel management schools, prepare you really well for the real world, and they're all very smart individuals. They are doing well, but for them to grow, I would say, for you to grow beyond this point,
2-3 years.
You must, it's good to have that degree. I
Very
wouldn't
true.
must have, but it's good to have that degree. It just hones your skills further.
Because this is just my personal experience that when I did my MBA, before that I had never been into sales. I had seen certainly a big part of it, maybe um, just not realizing I was doing sales, maybe in food and beverage as a F&B manager or wherever I was. And I think, but later when I moved out of my MBA and started, I still had no clue how actually shop floor sales is done. But when I got my hands dirty on it, making cold calls or reaching out to people or making clients, reaching out to corporate businesses, then I actually realized that there is a strategy and there is a recipe of doing sales. If you want to convert a client, if you want to convert a business, there's actually a recipe to it. And if you fit it right, there you go.
Absolutely, absolutely. There is a recipe, definitely, and you need to understand your client. You need to read a lot. You need to be totally, I mean, in our times when we were young sales executives, our bosses used to open the newspaper and tell us, so the CEO of Deutsche Bank is in the city. Where is he staying?
Okay.
Now, as salespeople, I'm telling you, Aaj Tak says Sabse Tez is Aaj Tak.
Right.
I'm telling you that's not true. Sabse Tez is the salespeople. If you're a good salesperson, you will know that the CEO of Deutsche Bank is coming much before the newspapers will say it.
Nice.
So that's the importance of being connected and understanding your customers and being relationship building. And you have to build relationships at different levels. You can't say कि सिर्फ मैं secretary से मिल लूंगी या सिर्फ मैं procurement head से मिल लूंगी. नहीं, we have to meet. We have to know from the CEO to the doorman everybody. The doorman also gives you information कि आज सुबह कौन से sales वाले आए थे, कौन से hotel के sales वाले आए थे. So if you're friends with them, you get that kind of information also. And so you're right. The recipe is, like I said, other than the educational qualification, I think attitude in our business is the most important thing, most important ingredient in that recipe.
Okay.
Everything else can be built on, but if this ingredient is missing now, then you won't be able.
मजा नहीं आएगा.
मजा नहीं आएगा.
वो sauce में flavor नहीं आएगा.
But that I would say is true for any industry. Vikrant, if you have the wrong attitude, if you're pessimistic, if you don't take feedback, if you don't want to listen, then no one can help you.
Very true. But that is something very interesting कि आज तक से तेज sales वाले हैं.
Of course.
But I really wish to understand that. Okay, let me put this in this way.
IPL BCCI पहले announce बाद में announce करता है. हमें पहले पता होता है कि IPL का schedule क्या है.
Ooh, that's and how do you know that? My question.
Because we work closely with BCCI, we go meet them, we understand them कि
Right.
कौन से city में आपको चाहिए होंगे rooms, क्या चाहिए, कब से चाहिए, what will be the format. तो हमें सब पता होता है. And they also will tell their relationship managers, because they know they want to take his help in getting accommodation for their teams and their cast and their crew.
True. True.
So if
And
you're a good salesperson, you will know that. If you're not, then obviously they'll make hajar excuses for not sharing it with you.
so I really want to learn this from you now, that if there is a client who's not turning up again and again, he's making excuses or maybe not giving you time, what is the best way to catch hold of him?
you know, the good old way of going and sitting in that office and not leaving the place till he doesn't meet you.
Oh, really? Would that work?
Well, that's worked in a lot of cases. We always told our colleagues that आज तुम वहां जाओगे और तुम उठोगे नहीं जब तक you don't meet, and it has worked. And yes, and when they see that you are showing so much interest in their business and you have so much passion in you, they will give you an audience.
So that means follow up is super crucial.
Follow up, absolutely. Follow up and agility of response time.
Right. And if I had to ask you, because there are a lot of freshers who are listening to this, and there are a lot of people who will be joining the industry or would be joining as different professionals, and especially sales professionals, what do you think, what should they do in their first 30 days? Because a lot of people say, yaar tum apni market ko samjho, aisa karo. Aapki taraf se, what would be those first 30 days ke tips?
First 30 days was honeymoon period, yeah. So you will understand your organization, understand the people in your organization, get a grasp of what you're expected to do, go out for meetings with some senior colleagues to understand how to open a meeting, how to close a meeting. So the first 30 days is actually just learning the ropes. And I would say not 30 days, it takes 6 to 8 months if you're a fresher to learn the ropes. But the first 30 days, first few months is really nobody's expecting you to turn around business. People are expecting you to learn as much as you can. So ask as many questions as you want, understand your organization, the goals that you're expected to achieve, your KPIs, what is the meaning of a KPI. Ask silly questions, don't worry about it. Be inquisitive. And yeah, enjoy the journey and don't overthink it.
True. And if somebody is not that fresher and is certainly wanting to grow his career into the field of sales, what do you think he should know, and what should be his let me say homework be like, which he should be doing?
See, it depends on what level you're joining. If you're joining
Let's say talk about a sales manager, maybe at a very initial, or assistant sales manager or relationship manager you're starting at.
Well, even if you're an assistant sales manager or a sales manager, whatever, if you're coming into a new job and you have to understand the organization, you have to understand the hotels you are selling, you have to get a bit of an understanding of the brands that you would be representing out there in the market, because every hotel company has multiple brands that you have to sell. You have to understand the portfolio of accounts, the kind of companies that you will be handling. Read up about those companies. How are they currently doing? Look at the data points of their past productivity. Look at, we have data points that even give you market share of those accounts and what is the percentage of business you are getting versus versus your competition. Go ask your bosses as to what were the challenges in this portfolio and what do you want me to, what is your expectation of me from the portfolio, So I would say it's the same thing. Be inquisitive and learn, try to find out as much as you can, because at the end of the day, every time you change a location, you move to a different department, you do a different role, it always feels like you're starting from scratch. At least I felt like that. So I've always invested my first few weeks in understanding the as-is situation before I just jump into things.
So I also understand when you said that understanding the market, understanding the local market, and maybe which company is doing better, which of your key accounts is doing better, asking your boss what were the challenges you faced with them earlier and maybe helping them resolve it if possible. Also,
you can't resolve everything in a jiffy. Once you start entering, you will start understanding why those challenges were there and what kind of solutions you can work with them on, etc. But yes, you should genuinely take some interest in looking at your portfolio and seeing what kind of companies are they, which industries do they fall in, how's that industry doing currently,
Hmm.
what are the growth prospects of that industry in the near future. And this I'm talking from a sales point, from a sales person who is on the field. Now, a sales manager in a hotel should try and understand what are my market segments, what is the market mix of my hotel. Is it a corporate transient driven hotel, or is it a corporate mice driven hotel? Is what percentage of business comes from weddings, what percentage of business comes from OTAs, what percent of business comes from brand.com, and so basically understand your distribution channels, understand your market segments, understand your market share. If you have five competitors, how are you doing against those competitors? What have been your challenges? Are you not doing well in the group space? Are you not doing well in the transient space? So, different kinds of roles require different kinds of preparation, right? So, if you're on the field, you need to understand your portfolio of accounts that you're handling. If you're in the hotel, you need to understand the kind of customers that are coming in, what brings them to your hotel, and through which channels are they coming, and therefore what do you need to do to improve the performance of those channels.
Hmm. Hmm. And I think this would be so apt for not only sales but also for other departments, whether you are talking about room divisions, whether we talk about F&B service or anywhere, because I think somewhere or the other, sales might and is actually a very data driven, as you said,
Absolutely.
organization to be in or a department to be in. But I sometimes feel that nowadays, certainly in last few years, the food and beverage and other industries have also started taking that initiation towards getting data driven. But earlier I have felt that they were not. We always had that black book lying at the food and beverage restaurant, and they
No,
used to
no, today,
enter.
today they are extremely data driven. We have
Correct.
tools that will throw at you how many walk-in guests were there, what was the check per table, what was
Very
the
true.
so how many covers did you do, etc. So there's a lot of data that we're equipped with. How much we look into it and how we use it is important.
So if somebody had to become that vigilant, because we all understand today data is gold, and data certainly brings a lot of future opportunities for you. So how do you think a person, whether in whichever irrespective department, because certainly sales remains a very let me say ingrained skill set, and especially we are all selling something, a service or a product somehow. So how do you think that a person can become data driven, one, and how actually that data needs to be used somehow? How can that person learn that skill set?
Well, you the only way you can make a person data driven is if you look at data yourself as a manager.
Hmm.
So if I, as a manager, do all my reviews based on data, my team will start looking at data. But if I, as a manager, do all my reviews based on my feelings and what I think they are doing, then they will also behave. So you are basically your behavior drives their behavior. So and therefore, I think it's the responsibility of the manager to develop those skills. And when they start seeing the benefit of looking at that data, you know many a times when I go and ask salespeople that why is your this certain segment not doing well,
Hmm.
they come back and tell me, oh, because there's a new hotel that has opened up and they have taken away all that business.
Hmm.
So my next question to them is, can you pull out for me the productivity of that segment for the last 2 years and compare it to how we're performing this year? And when we look at the productivity, we realize the numbers have increased, but the average rates have gone down so drastically that the overall revenues have gone down. So it is not the volumes that have gone down. We as salespeople have gone and changed the mix. Instead of taking senior people who were coming to us, say at 10, 12,000 rupees, we have now started taking the next level of people who are coming to us at 5 and 6. But as managers, we didn't bother looking at that data. We just assumed what our salesperson was saying that, oh, I'm losing business to competition. But actually, data was saying, no, you're still getting the chunk of business, but you've taken it at lower rates. So,
Hmm.
time to correct that rate. Again, if there's a company that is giving you a lot of business, but is sitting at a horribly low rate, when usually when we do something called account evaluation, and there's something called the account evaluation sheet, in which we look at our top 20 accounts. What is their productive production, what's their weekday production, what is the length of stay of bookings they're giving us, what is the seasonal production that they're giving, that means quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, quarter four make your production is. So we understand and study that account. We also look at what is their loyalty penetration into our hotels. Now, sometimes if you don't look at that data, you will not know whether to make a decision to increase rates or to hold the rates, or what you need to do with that account, because then you will go data blind and you may just take the wrong decision of keeping the rate the same just because they're giving you a very high volume of business. But when you look at data, you will see they're only using you on Tuesday, Wednesday when you're already going full. Even if you didn't take that business, you would replace that business with something more high paying. Yeah, they're only using you when the rest of the market is full in quarter one and quarter four, which is high season. And then you realize that their world of high penetration is very high, which means when I say loyalty penetration is very high, that means 70-80% of their members are loyal to our brand. So why can't we take this opportunity to increase their rates? Because they're sleeping on our beds on the wrong dates. They are booking with us on days when we don't need that business, and they're not supporting us when we need them.
Very true.
So when you look at that data, you say, okay, this company definitely needs to get a high rate increase of not just 10%, but maybe 30%.
Very
and
true.
we need to show them this data and reason out with them as to why we're doing it.
Very true. Very true. This is really insightful, and now I really understand why data could be so important.
Absolutely. Data, without data तो बात ही नहीं करना चाहिए आजकल.
Very true. Very true. I will also have 3 questions to end this conversation, and absolutely we'll open it for Q&A for 5 to 6 minutes.
Yeah, I think we've overstepped our time.
Yes. Just to ask you last 2 questions. If you had to really caption a best career advice in 3 to 5 words, what it would be for you?
Okay. Keep learning at every stage of your career. Don't think that, I know everything. Seek opportunities. When you find a great opportunity in your organization, put your hand up. Nobody will ever guess you want that opportunity unless you put your hand up. I've always done that. I've always gone and asked my bosses that, can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? And I've been very lucky to have great bosses who've given me those opportunities. And I think the third most important thing is that you must take care of your colleagues, whether they are your peers or they are your seniors or they are your juniors, because they are your biggest assets. And if you don't take care of each other, no one's going to take care of you.
Very good. Would not disagree with that.
Yeah.
True.
And of course, the mundane things of working hard, sincere. I mean, that goes without saying in any job. Yeah. But I think to me, these 3 stand out to be the most important.
To be the most important one. True. So we will just have not too much time to ask you questions, because I think it's already 4. We are running super short of time.
I don't mind taking 1 or 2 questions.
Okay. So we'll take 2 questions here because I see Sanskar being very inquisitive from a very long time. Sanskar, do you wish to ask a question, please? You could unmute yourself and then probably ask the question.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Thank you so much
Hi,
for your valuable
Sanskar.
time. Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Soon I'll be joining your organization itself. I'll be joining
Really?
Hyatt.
Which
Yes.
hotel?
I'll be joining Park Hyatt Hyderabad as in CLT. So we
In
are
sales?
waiting for the induction. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, fabulous. You'll be working with Ajinkya. Okay, great.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. One doubt which I had is how to generate leads for hotel business. Like, what are the major sources of lead generation in hotel sales?
Okay. One
That's
is news.
Okay.
Okay. That gives you information on what's happening in that organization. One is meeting different levels of people, different people within the organization to understand what's really happening, what's coming up. Third is meeting travelers in the hotel from that organization who may give you some tips. And like I said, carefully listen to whatever your clients are saying, because there's always a tip behind what they tell you. So you have to keep and salespeople always get to know before anyone else if there is something happening. So if you do your work, meet with the right people, stay in touch with them, read about the organization, and be inquisitive, ask them the right questions, and you will get your leads.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Have a good day.
Thank you, Sanskar. Uh, Rajvendra Singh Chauhan, would you like to ask your question? And I think this
Uh,
would be the last question we might have. Please.
Hi, ma'am. How are you?
Hi, Rajvendra.
It's really privilege to talk to you, ma'am. Thank you for your time.
No, no.
So, thank you. So, my question is, what you think about artificial intelligence? How this thing can take part in our regular sales? And the second thing is, our industry is more like an orthodox industry where thing works, traditionally. So, what do you think about that? That how we can replace this thing into the AI?
So, well, artificial intelligence, honestly, I still think we're in a people's business. It won't completely take over our industry, yes, but there'll be certain things that can be taken over by them. For example, ChatGPT could do a lot of your mundane work today. When you write your apology emails, etc., you can just ask ChatGPT to frame that for you. You don't have to sit and type that apology email anymore. And there are many other things that they can do for you. But what they can't do is manage the relationships between you and your customer. AI will not be able to replace that. So don't worry about it. Our jobs are all secure. For time to come. Yes, I do understand that the internet world is really changing the way business is functioning. We're getting our distribution channels are evolving. Most of our we don't anymore have control over where the traveler wants to go and stay, because the power is in his hands. But what we can do is to ensure that we continue to meet as many people as we can, build on their loyalty by making them members of our loyalty program, understanding the distribution channels they are using to book your hotels, and therefore strengthen those channels so that you can continue to get business from them. And of course, AI is going to change certain things. It's going to make there are certain hotels that are completely humanless. But we haven't seen that in India as yet, because I don't think that human interaction can go anywhere. And I know of a hotel in Singapore which does not have anybody at the check-in desk. It's all self-check-in. But I also have feedback from customers that sometimes it's very frustrating, because you want an early check-in and you know that you can see that room is available, but you can't check in because the machine doesn't understand that it can let you check in because there's a room available and there's no one to talk to. So, like I said, it's not going to take over the human touch that our industry gives. So I think that's where it is. But there are many mundane things that will be taken over by chatbots, AIs, the artificial intelligence. I mean, the other day I was seeing a welcome drinks being served by a robot in the Grand Hyatt Mumbai, and they were testing it. So things like that. But when it comes to going and negotiating a conference with a customer or working with somebody on their daughter's wedding, I can't imagine a robot doing that, honestly.
Would Bandita, you also believe that AI could write beautiful emails for you, but
Oh, yes, yes.
adding
Yes, I
adding a
mean,
little bit of that emotional drop to it would be our job again?
yeah. No, I tried using ChatGPT. Honestly, it does not give you. It gives you a framework.
Basic structure,
It gives you a framework, but you got to do everything in it on your
the
own.
touch of the hospitality to it.
Not hospitality. Say if I want to do I had once just tried to see what does it throw up, and I said, make me a marketing plan for the new JDV that we're opening in Goa.
I'm
Okay,
sorry
well,
to hear
know that. So it gave me all that I need to cover in a marketing plan, but obviously it doesn't understand the brand JDV, so it was just throwing up anything, and obviously I had to do the whole thing. But at least I got a framework.
Right. The first draft of it. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bandita, for sparing so
Sorry,
much.
Raj Vardhan, did I answer your question? Was there a second part to your question?
Yes, please.
What was that? I forgot. I'm sorry. Age is catching up.
Rajvardhan, are you here?
Okay, fine. I think
Okay.
that's fine.
Yes, sir. I'm really sorry. I'm sorry. I
No
just
worries.
had some problem. So, ma'am, the last question I have, I'm really sorry for your time, sir. So now I'm just selected as a management trainee in the Lemon Tree Hotel. So, what are the things that I can give that hotel? Because this hotel is completely drive into the mid-segment market. So, what are the things that I can do, and what are the tips that you can give me for this, new journey?
Regarding sales,
Yes, ma'am. Sales and marketing.
okay, so you will be given a territory to manage accounts, is it? Or you'll be given a set of accounts to handle?
So for 1.5 year, I guess they'll train me in all department, and then they'll give me some duty to do.
So, like I said, use your early years in learning the ropes of the business. If they are giving you 1.5 years to train, that's wonderful. Not everybody gives that kind of leeway and that time. So, learn the ropes of the game. Ask for a mentor in the organization who you can reach out to if you wanted to understand something on the subject. And be inquisitive and curious to know more.
Right, ma'am. Thank you. So that's last thing. So the collaboration of JW Marriott and the Alibaba, I guess, from the China, they started the first hotel, which is human-less kind of thing.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that? Okay, even JW Marriott is the first five-star brand or the first brand who is doing this thing. So what is your point of view about this?
I just said that we are in a people's industry managing human expectations. And it's great to, it's a great thing to know that there are human-less hotels. But imagine that machine who does not understand the emotions of the person. How is he going to respond to the guest requirements? So, I don't see a human-less hotel in the luxury space, at least very soon, in our country, because we are still a very relationship-driven market. But like I said, a lot of mundane things will get taken over by by robos and AI, etc. But yes, it's exciting to know. I haven't been to a hotel like that, but I've heard people who've been there, and I was just telling 2 minutes ago that it's sometimes frustrating. You see a room is available, but you can't check in because the machine will only check you in at 2 o'clock. And there's no way you can speak to the machine because he doesn't understand early check-in. He's not been taught. So I guess the machines will take some time to learn everything, and I hope they don't take over the emotional angle of our brain and start. I don't see that happening in India for some time now, or in Asia where we're so service oriented. There may be one hotel, but it's not like it's rapidly every hotel is changing or moving in that direction. No.
Interesting. Thank you, Bandita, for so much of time and sparing out so much long. Post 4 also, actually 16 minutes to be precise.
No, thank you very much. It was a pleasure interacting with all of you, and thank you, Vikrant, for giving me this opportunity. I look forward to some of you coming into Hyatt Hotels, and all the best, Sanskar, for your role at Park Hyatt. Thank you, Vikrant. Thank you.
Thank you, Bandita,
Bye-bye.
for joining in.
Have a good Sunday.
Have a lovely Sunday. Enjoy, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. And for any such updates, you can always stay in touch. You can connect with Bandita over LinkedIn for sure. We are all available by the name of TB at Circle over Instagram, LinkedIn, whichever platform you wish to see us. And absolutely, Bandita's entire session would be available on YouTube. It would be available on Spotify. It would certainly be available on Instagram. You can check out some reels if you are the person who keeps on browsing his time around. So feel free to catch up us all on all social media networks. All the best and thank you. Have a wonderful Sunday. Thank you, Bandita, for joining.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.